Joe Biden's old. He's too old. Too old to be president, I should say. Not too old. Not too old. Don't wish any ill will on him or anyone else getting up there in years. He's just too old to be president. And he's too much of a dirtball communist to be president, too. And let's address the communist part first. You see, East Palestine, Ohio, you probably remember the name. Lord willing, you remember what happened to them, this terrible train wreck with this horrible chemicals. Remember, we saw the pictures of the fires and the waters and the people complaining about the side effects, and there's all this crap in the ground. And, Joe Biden was asked about visiting there.
I said in March that you would go to East Palestine, Ohio. You came here. How come you haven't gone to East Palestine yet?
Well, I haven't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. There's a lot going on here, and I just haven't been able to break. I was thinking whether I'd go to East Palestine this week, but I then was reminded I've got to go literally around the world.
Literally. Of course, he had to throw that one in there. I'm just going to let that go for now. Literally around the world. Just hasn't had time, So what are you looking at here? Well, first, you're looking at two different things. We always have to remember we're looking at two different things when we look at Joe Biden. When we hear Joe Biden speak, we are looking at a cadaver, an old, corrupt, very mean, kind of soulless person that he's been for years. Long before the dementia, he's that way. So we're looking at this old kind of cadaver that's very, very mean and soulless. And there's not a lot going on inside. So he's really just the people behind him, the full-blown communists behind him who control him. That's a lot of what you see from Joe Biden. So a lot of it is just an old kind of mean jerk. But then there's the communists behind him that I just addressed. Their words mostly coming out of his mouth whenever he can speak. Why hasn't Joe Biden been to East Palestine? Went right to Ohio. He went right to Hawaii. No East Palestine. Why? Hawaii had this terrible wildfire. The president went. That's good. East Palestine has something equally terrible. Nothing. Why? Well, you may be confused as to why, because you have values. You have a value system as a person. And like we've talked about many times, it's a natural thing. It's what human beings do. You've taken your values and you've projected those values onto other people. So if you were president, you would go to what? Both places, of course. Well, there's a disaster in East Palestine. You have a heart for those people. You would go see them. Oh, there's a disaster in Maui. You have a heart for those people. You would go see them. But you've made a mistake. Not that you're a bad person. You just made a mistake. You assigned, once again, your values to the communist. The communist who doesn't share your values at all. You see Ohio and Hawaii. You see downtrodden people in Hawaii and downtrodden people in Ohio. And you have a heart for both, but the communist doesn't see it that way. The communist sees friends and enemies. And that's his entire existence. Remember, because it is his religion. It's not his political ideology. He's not a Democrat. He doesn't lean left. He's not a progressive. He's a communist. It's his religion. It's his whole existence. Everything in his life is simply about friends and enemies. If you're Joe Biden and you find out there's a terrible train derailment in Ohio, a bunch of people are dying, suffering, it's horrible, you don't immediately get a heart for the people. You immediately do this. Hey, somebody bring me the numbers for Ohio. You pull up the numbers for that area and you say, oh man, East Palestine, wow, overwhelmingly they voted for Trump. What do we care, huh? We're not going there. That's how the communist looks at things. And same thing for Hawaii. Oh no, there was something bad in Hawaii. Hey, bring me the numbers. Hold on, let me see. Hawaii voted Democrat 2-1. Hey, gas up the jet. We're going to Hawaii. We got allies that need some attention. This is what we've become. When you're a nation run by communists, this is what we've become. And so that's the communist portion of it. Now let's address the Joe Biden's too old portion of it. Part of the reason Joe Biden is on vacation so much, 382 out of the 957 days he's been president, Joe Biden has been on vacation. Why? Well, because Joe Biden's too old to be president. It's a very stressful, time-consuming, exhausting job to be president. No, they're not breaking bricks in the hot sun or something like that. But this is a job that requires you being on all day, every day, interviews, speeches, travel here, there, 3 states today, 4 states tomorrow. Then we're flying internationally. I have to meet with this head of state. Then we sit down with the UN. This is what being president is. I mean, it's what the job requires. You must have energy. Joe Biden simply doesn't have the energy. He's too old. He can't be president. He's on vacation a lot because Joe Biden has to rest the vast majority of the time to then go back and accomplish even the smallest of tasks. And this is why when he's called out for these things, whenever they're given a chance to ask him specific questions about the things he's done wrong, this is why the answers are so lame, because he's just an old cadaver now that can't think.
So, by the way, the reason I'm here today, just for one day, I know I'm on vacation. I'm not. I have no home to go to. The Secret Service has torn my house up in a good way to make it secure. So I have no place to go when I come to Delaware except here right now.
He has no place to go. And he thought, at the time, when he said that, with his brain that's kind of like melting into chocolate goo, it might just start leaking out of his eyes pretty quickly. He thought when he said that at the time that was a good answer. But see, that's not a good answer, because the president can go anywhere he wants to go, really anytime he wants to go there. And the Secret Service will go there ahead of him and with him, and they'll secure the area. Joe Biden could be president without taking a single day of vacation, but Joe Biden can't do it because Joe Biden's too old. That's just the truth. We're led by a cadaver who's also corrupt beyond belief. Which brings me to one final point here. If I had a dictionary that was videotapes, and you could define this and define that. If I had to define low T GOP, because that would be part of the Jesse Kelly dictionary, I would have this video of Ken Buck going on CNN with endless amounts of evidence pointing to Biden's corruption, claiming there's no corruption at all.
Last month, you notably called impeachment talk a shiny object to distract from budget negotiations. What are you hearing about the impeachment inquiry conversation?
So I think that my constituents back here, some of them want revenge, some of them want retribution, and others want to get over this and they want to move on and solve the problems that we face in this country. But we'll see what happens with this. Obviously, we're not at the point where we're ready to offer evidence of impeachment, but rather just to start an inquiry into whether impeachment is appropriate.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure what crime Joe Biden is to have committed.
I have great news. If you enjoyed that, I have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. Whatever I do, it'll be right there on YouTube. So go subscribe today.